The desert wind howled like a banshee as our beat-up Ford pickup skidded across the cracked asphalt of Route 66. The kind of skid that makes your heart slam against your ribs and your life flash before you in neon bursts. Alex's hand shot out, gripping my thigh. Not in panic, but with a deliberate squeeze that burned through my jeans like a brand. His eyes locking onto mine with a hunger I'd never seen before. "David?" he whispered, voice cracking over the roar of the engine. "I've been in love with you since we were kids. Pull over. Right now, before I explode." I slammed on the brakes, tires screeching in protest. The truck fishtailing to a dusty halt on the shoulder, where the Arizona sun baked the earth into oblivion. My best friend of 20 years, the guy who'd shared every stupid secret from scraped knees to stolen beers, was staring at me like I was the only oasis in this godforsaken wasteland. And in that split second, as the dust settled and the world held its breath, I realized the road trip we'd planned as brothers was about to veer into territory that could shatter us both. We'd kicked off this cross-country haul from LA with the kind of reckless optimism only 20-somethings can muster. Two queer kids who'd grown up dodging sideways glances in a Bible Belt suburb, now freewheeling toward New York like it was the promised land. Alex, with his easy grin and surfer boy blonde hair that caught the light like California gold, had pitched it as our last hurrah before real life swallowed us whole. I was the planner, the one with the meticulously mapped playlist of Springsteen anthems and indie folk that screamed freedom. He was the wild card, shotgun rider with a cooler of IPAs and a laugh that could defuse any tension. We'd crisscross the Southwest, chasing sunsets in Sedona's red rock canyons, skinny dipping in hidden Utah streams under starlit skies that made you feel infinite. Those nights, huddled in cheap motels with the AC rattling like a death rattle, we'd talk for hours. About the exes who'd ghosted us, the grinder disasters that left us laughing through the hurt, the dream of a city where we could hold hands without the world batting an eye. But that confession on the roadside, it hit like a freight train. My pulse thundered in my ears as I killed the engine, the sudden silence amplifying the cricket's chorus and the distant rumble of semis barreling east. Alex didn't let go of my leg. His fingers dug in deeper, calloused from years of odd jobs, bartending in WeHo dives, gigging as a handyman in Echo Park. "Say something, Dave," he pleaded, his blue eyes stormy with the weight of unspoken years. "I can't keep pretending anymore. Every time you smile at me, it guts me." I swallowed hard, tasting the metallic tang of fear and something electric, forbidden. We'd always been tactile. Bro hugs that lingered a beat too long, wrestling matches on the beach that dissolved into breathless heaps. But love, that was the line we'd never crossed, the one that kept our friendship sacred in a world that already made us pariahs. "Alex, man, what the hell?" My voice came out hoarse, betraying the storm inside. Part of me wanted to bolt, to chalk it up to heatstroke or too many shots of mezcal the night before in Flagstaff. But another part, the lonely, aching part that scrolled through shirtless torsos on apps at 3 a.m., leaned in, drawn to the vulnerability cracking his facade. He laughed, a bitter, self-deprecating bark that echoed off the mesas. "Yeah, what the hell is right? I've dated guys, you've dated guys, but it's always been you in the back of my head. Remember that summer after college when we couch-surfed in San Francisco? You kissed that barista, and I went home and punched a wall because I wished it was me." His hand slid higher, tentative, testing. The air between us crackled, thick with the scent of sagebrush and possibility. I didn't pull away. Instead, I covered his hand with mine, feeling the tremor in his palm, the rapid-fire beat of his wrist against my skin. We didn't make it back on the road that afternoon. Parked there like outlaws, we really talked, for the first time. He spilled it all. The crushes he'd buried under layers of denial, the hookups that felt hollow because they weren't my lanky frame pinning him down. I confessed my own ghosts, the fear that loving him would ruin the one constant in my chaotic life, the way I'd jerk off to memories of us changing after pickup basketball, stealing glances at the V of his hips. By dusk, as the sky bled orange and purple over the painted desert, his lips were on mine. It was messy, desperate. A clash of teeth and tongues born from 2 decades of pent-up what-ifs. His stubble scraped my chin, his body pressing me back against the worn leather seat, all lean muscle and salt-sweat skin. We didn't go all the way, not yet. It was enough to taste the forbidden fruit, to let the dam break. That night in a roadside motel outside Albuquerque, the neon vacancy sign buzzing like a faulty halo, we crossed every line. The room smelled of stale smoke and Lysol, the bed sagging under our weight as we stripped away the barriers, literal and otherwise. Alex's mouth was everywhere, worshipful. His hands mapping me like a cartographer charting unclaimed land. "You're beautiful," he murmured against my collarbone, voice muffled by the thunder of my heartbeat. I arched into him, gasping as he took me apart piece by piece, our bodies sinking in a rhythm that felt predestined. It was raw, reverent, fingers interlaced, eyes locked, the world shrinking to the slick slide of skin on skin. When we came, tangled and trembling, it wasn't just release. It was revelation. In his arms, sweat-slick and spent, I felt seen, truly seen, for the first time. The next leg of the trip blurred into a haze of stolen intimacies. We detoured through the Ozarks, hiking mist-shrouded trails where the only witnesses were chattering squirrels and the occasional rainbow flag fluttering from a distant porch. Morning started with lazy blowjobs in the truck's cab, his head in my lap as I white-knuckled the wheel through Missouri farmlands. Afternoons dissolved into marathon make-out sessions at greasy spoon diners, ignoring the raised eyebrows from trucker waitresses. "This is us now," Alex would say, lacing our fingers over the gearshift, his thumb tracing circles that sent shivers up my spine. No more hiding. New York loomed like a beacon, our endpoint, where we'd crash on a friend's couch in Brooklyn and figure out the logistics of forever. I believed him, God help me. In the glow of taillights and tumbleweeds, it felt possible. But cracks spiderwebbed in by the time we hit the Appalachians. Alex's phone buzzed incessantly. Texts he dismissed with a sheepish grin. Just work stuff. I'd catch him staring out windows during long drives, his jaw tight, fingers drumming the dash like he was marching to a war drum only he could hear. One rainy evening in Asheville, holed up in a craft brewery with flights of IPAs that tasted like pine and regret, he got a call that drained the color from his face. "Everything okay?" I asked, sliding my boot against his under the table, our secret code for reassurance. He forced a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Yeah, babe. Old friend from back home." Babe. The word still thrilled me, a velvet noose around my heart. We stumbled back to our Airbnb, a cozy A-frame with a loft bed and views of fog-draped peaks, and lost ourselves again, his urgency bordering on frantic. He fucked me like it was an apology, slow and deep, whispering my name like a prayer. "I love you, David, more than anything." I clung to him, nails digging crescents into his back, convincing myself the shadows in his gaze were just the storm clouds rolling in. Little did I know, the real tempest was brewing closer than the weather app predicted. We pushed on through Virginia's rolling hills, the Blue Ridge Parkway twisting like a lover's spine under a canopy of autumn gold. Stops blurred. A folk festival in Charlottesville where we danced shirtless under string lights, bodies slick with sweat and cider. A midnight swim in the James River, moonlit and illicit, his laughter echoing off the water as we splashed like kids. But the buzz of his phone grew insistent, a hornet's nest he swatted at half-heartedly. "Who's blowing you up, anyway?" I finally asked one crisp morning over diner pancakes in Richmond, syrup dripping like liquid amber from my fork. Alex hesitated, fork midway to his mouth, then sighed. "It's complicated. Remember Jordan? From college?" The name landed like a gut punch. Jordan, the brooding art major who'd swept Alex off his feet sophomore year, only to shatter him with a coming-out scandal that made campus tabloids. They'd been toxic, all passion and poison, but Alex had never fully shaken the ghost. "He's in New York. Reached out last week, said he wants to talk. Closure, you know?" My stomach twisted, but I played it cool, the eternal wingman. "Hey, if it helps you move on, go for it. We're solid, right?" I reached across the Formica table, squeezing his hand. He squeezed back, relief flooding his features, and just like that, the unease evaporated. Or so I thought. That night, as we crested the Smokies into Tennessee, he pulled over at an overlook, the valley sprawling below like a quilt of fire-kissed leaves. We made love on a blanket spread over the truck bed, the chill air nipping at our bare skin, his body a furnace against mine. "You're my home," he breathed into my neck, and I believed it, every syllable, as stars wheeled overhead. By Nashville, the music city thrummed with neon promise. We were high on the high of us, two-stepping in honky-tonks where no one batted an eye at the way our hips aligned, belting out Garth Brooks karaoke with arms slung around shoulders. But the texts didn't stop. I glimpsed one on the bathroom counter of our Airbnb. Miss you more than you know. See you soon? Jay, my blood ran cold, but I shoved it down, chalking it up to paranoia. Alex was mine now. We'd built this bubble on the road, sealed with sweat and secrets. What could touch us? We rolled into Kentucky the next day, bourbon trails winding through horse country, the air thick with the scent of fermenting mash and fallen leaves. It was there, in a distillery tour outside Bardstown, that the first real fracture appeared. As we sampled small-batch whiskeys in a barrel-lined tasting room, Alex's phone lit up again. This time he stepped away, voice low and urgent in the shadowed hallway. I nursed my dram, the burn in my throat mirroring the one in my chest, eavesdropping shamelessly. I can't just drop everything. No, it's not like that. David doesn't know. The words sliced through me like shrapnel. Doesn't know what? When he returned, flushed and evasive, I confronted him in the parking lot, gravel crunching under my boots. What's going on, Alex? Level with me. Rain had started, a fine mist that clung to our jackets like doubt. He ran a hand through his damp hair, eyes darting to the horizon. Jordan's. He's sick. Cancer. Stage 4. He wants me there when he starts chemo next month. In New York. The confession hung between us, heavy as the storm clouds gathering. Relief warred with jealousy. Relief that it wasn't betrayal, jealousy that some ex held this pull, this power to eclipse us. I get it, I said, forcing steadiness into my voice. Friends help friends. We'll figure it out. But inside, a seed of doubt sprouted, thorny and insistent. That night in a Louisville loft overlooking the Ohio River, the lovemaking felt different, hesitant, like he was memorizing me for a journey he might not return from. Promise me, I whispered as we lay entwined, the city's lights twinkling like distant regrets. Promise this isn't the end of us. He kissed my temple, murmuring assent, but his arms around me felt looser, like a man already half gone. The drive through Ohio was a gauntlet of flatlands and fading factories, the industrial heartland a metaphor for the rust creeping into our idol. We argued for the first time. Stupid stuff, like whose playlist sucked more. But beneath it simmered the unspoken, Jordan's shadow lengthening with every milepost. In Cleveland, crashing at a dive bar with drag queens slaying Whitney Houston covers, Alex got drunk and maudlin, his head on my shoulder as he slurred. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me, Dave. Don't let me fuck this up. I held him tighter, inhaling the mix of whiskey and his cologne, whispering back that we'd weather it. But doubt whispered louder. By Pennsylvania, the Pocono Mountains rising like ancient guardians, the bubble burst. We'd stopped at a kitschy roadside attraction, a haunted mill with creaky floors and ghost stories spun by a tour guide with a mullet. Laughing off the chills, we wandered the grounds, hands brushing in that electric way. Then his phone rang, Jordan again. Alex answered, turning away, but not before I saw the tenderness in his eyes, the one he'd reserved for me. I'll be there, he said softly. I promise. Rage boiled up, hot and unbidden. Be where? I demanded when he hung up, voice echoing off the weathered beams. He sighed, defeated. He needs me, Dave, more than just a visit. We were everything once. And now, with this. The words trailed off, but the implication landed like a sucker punch. They weren't done. Alex had been playing both sides, confessing his love to me while stringing Jordan along, a lifeline to the past amid his fear of the future. You lied to me? I choked out, the mill's damp chill seeping into my bones. This whole trip, it was what? A fling? A distraction? Tears stung my eyes, hot and furious. He reached for me, but I recoiled, the betrayal a chasm widening between us. I love you both, he admitted, voice breaking. But Jordan's dying. How do I choose? The question hung, unanswerable, as thunder rumbled in the distance. We drove in silence to our next stop, a cabin in the Poconos rented on a whim for romantic seclusion. It was anything but. The argument escalated over a dinner of chili heated on a hot plate, words flying like shrapnel. My accusations of cowardice, his defenses laced with guilt. You think this is easy? Walking away from the one person who knew me before I even knew myself? He shouted, slamming his fist on the rickety table. I fired back, Then why drag me into it? Why make me believe in us? The cabin walls seemed to close in, the fire in the hearth mocking our inferno. That night, we slept apart. He on the lumpy couch, me in the loft, staring at the rafters as rain lashed the tin roof. Sleep evaded me, replaying every touch, every promise, now tainted. Dawn brought no resolution. We packed in terse quiet, the drive east a funeral procession for what we'd built. But fate, that cruel puppeteer, had one more twist. Near Scranton, as fog blanketed the interstate, a deer bolted from the tree line, massive, antlers like lightning. I swerved, too late. The impact was cataclysmic, metal crumpling, glass shattering in a symphony of destruction. The world spun, then blacked out. When I came to, sirens wailed, paramedics swarming. Alex was beside me in the wreckage, blood streaking his face, hand clutching mine with desperate strength. "Stay with me, Dave," he gasped, voice raw over the chaos. "I can't lose you too." In the ER haze of Scranton General, monitors beeping like accusatory heartbeats, the truth unraveled. X-rays revealed my cracked ribs, his concussion. But the real fracture was emotional. As nurses bustled, Alex confessed everything. How Jordan's diagnosis had reignited old flames via late-night calls during our trip. How guilt had twisted his love for me into something selfish, a bid to outrun mortality. "I was scared," he sobbed, gripping the bed rail. "Scared of being alone when he's gone. But losing you? That's the real death sentence." I lay there, morphine dulling the pain but not the ache in my chest, staring at the 4 drips' hypnotic sway. Betrayal stung, sharp as the shards embedded in my skin, but so did the clarity. Love wasn't a zero-sum game, but it demanded honesty, the kind we'd both skirted. "Go to him," I whispered finally, my voice a thread. "Be the friend he needs. But when it's over, if there's anything left of us, find me in New York. No lies this time." He nodded, tears carving paths through the antiseptic grime on his cheeks, and in that sterile limbo, we forged a fragile truce. Not lovers, not yet enemies, but 2 men stripped bare by the road's relentless mercy. Discharged days later, bandaged and bruised, we limped into the city of our dreams separately. Me crashing on that Brooklyn couch, him vanishing into the vortex of hospital visits and whispered goodbyes. Months blurred. I threw myself into freelance graphic design gigs, sketching urban skylines laced with hidden hearts, therapy sessions peeling back layers of abandonment. Alex's updates came in sporadic texts. "He's fighting hard. Miss you," I replied curtly, building walls higher than the Empire State. New York embraced me, though queer bars pulsing with possibility, chance encounters that sparked but never ignited. Yet, in quiet moments on the High Line, watching the Hudson glitter like spilled secrets, I missed him. The laugh, the touch, the way he'd hum off-key to my playlists. Jordan passed in the dead of winter, a quiet exit amid blizzards that buried the city in white. Alex's call came at 2 a.m., his voice hollowed by grief. "He's gone. It feels like half of me went with him." We met at a 24-hour diner in Chelsea, steam rising from coffee mugs like ghosts. He looked wrecked, hollow-cheeked, eyes shadowed, but when he slid into the booth, our knees brushed and electricity hummed. "I'm sorry," he started, but I held up a hand. "Don't. We both fucked up. But if we're doing this, really doing this, it has to be all in. No ghosts, no half measures." He searched my face, then nodded, a spark reigniting in those blue depths. "All in, I swear." Spring thawed the ice and with it, us. We started slow. Coffee dates morphing into museum strolls, hands tentative at first, then intertwined like roots seeking soil. The road trip scars faded into stories, laughing over the deer's ghost, toasting to near misses with craft beers on fire escapes. Sex came later, in my tiny walk-up, tentative and tear-streaked, building to a crescendo that erased the doubts. He moved in that summer, our lives weaving like the subway lines below. His bar shifts syncing with my deadlines, lazy Sundays in bed devouring bagels and the Times. It wasn't perfect, no love story is, especially not one forged in American asphalt and heartache. There were arguments, echoes of old wounds, nights when Jordan's memory lingered like smoke. But we faced them head-on, in couples counseling that dragged buried shames into the light, emerging stronger, more human. On our first anniversary, we retraced steps. Not the full Route 66, but a weekend jaunt upstate, pitching a tent by a lake where loons called like lovers. As fireflies danced and the water lapped gentle rhythms, Alex pulled me close, his breath warm against my ear. You saved me, Dave. From myself, from running. I turned, cupping his face, the same face that had shattered and rebuilt me. We saved each other. That's the shock of it all. In the end, the road didn't just take us across a continent. It carved us into something enduring, a testament to the messy, magnificent grace of choosing love, again and again, against the odds. And in the heart of it, amid the skyscrapers and subways, we found our way home.